We're ready to pull this engine out. We have it hooked up already, a little bit of tension on it. We just need to separate the engine and transmission from the back. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. We had the Subaru cleaned, but you can see there's bird poop all over it now. It's pretty dirty. But we're actually gonna go pick up the doors and replace these doors. As you can see, they're damaged. They do open and close fine, so none of the structural inside is damaged. We did order a new piece for the back door. So as you can see down here, it is crushed. So we did order a whole piece that comes from right here to a little bit like towards the driver's side door, and that'll help fix all this, because we don't just want to like pull it out and then fill it, which that's what we were kind of thinking of, but we didn't know how bad it was. And then he sent us a picture of how it's supposed to look, and you can tell that this is pretty damaged, which for this you just have to but drill out all the spot welds on the bottom and then replace it. So that shouldn't be too hard. That should come within a couple days, maybe next week. Yeah, but we're gonna go pick up the doors today.
The fenders came in yesterday, so we'll be putting that on too.
Doesn't the front bumper come in today?
It says, but supposedly with FedEx they're having like shipping problems.
Yeah.
But so it might not be here till tomorrow.
Yeah, but we're gonna go pick up the doors real quick. The bumper just came in and I just took it out of the box to see how it is, and I found it weird how it was folded into threes, like the corners are folded in, but it says that it's got like a memory foam thing. So for the first, well, you're supposed to leave it outside in the sun for 4 hours. The first 3 hours you leave it facing away from the sun, and then the last hour you put it upside down. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start a timer now, and then I'll check on it after 3 hours and let you guys see how it's going so far. Doesn't really look like any damages on there. I haven't really done anything on the car yet, just because we're waiting on parts to come in. We did get the doors yesterday, so we're gonna be replacing the doors. The rocker panel just sitting down there. We did get the fender, so we'll probably be able to put everything back together. Probably, well, we had to take out these doors, switch everything over to the new doors. Here are the doors. It doesn't have the window inside of it or the window motor, which is okay because ours has the windows and the motor. But we had to take all this off anyways because I'll be painting it white. I took off some of the trim just to see how it is. Yeah, we're going to paint down here white just so it doesn't look weird when you open the door, it being purple. These are the doors. We already have the fender. We have the front bumper. We just need the rear bumper. And we'll piece everything back together. I would have picked it up from Subaru, but the price, well, Subaru, it was 120, and they have these online for $68 for 2 of them, and I wouldn't be able to pick it up on Friday, and Saturday is the last day that they'd be open, and I wouldn't be able to pick it up because I'd be working. Same thing with my brother. And it's Tuesday right now, so kind of like the same time that we would gotten it anyways. So I wasn't really much of a hurry to get it. Show you guys what I'm talking about. So right there, you can see right there, it's kinked, and I imagine that's from when they were loading it up with the forklift. They hit that and bent it. So this wheel, the front end would stick out. It's kind of like this. The front end stuck out more than the back end. So for this, it looks like I need to disconnect the rear shocks, the sway bar, and disconnect it from the spindle. Shouldn't be too hard. We ended up buying the bumper from the guy that was selling the doors as well, because he was parting out his Subaru, and luckily it was an STI as well, so it has that STI rear bumper where the slip is. Got the door trim piece that we will be replacing, so that way everything is good. The 2 doors right there, the front bumper. Not really sure what we're gonna do with this garbage yet, or the pallet. Probably take it to a recycling center or something like that. We're pulling this engine out because it does have a small oil leak in the bottom. Coolant isn't getting into the engine itself, or vice versa. Exhaust going into the coolant, but there is an oil leak on the bottom. It's like a minor one. I don't know, because the person that had this before, you probably put like some, something for the head gasket to kind of like cover it up or seal it, and you were able to see it all inside the reservoir, and you were able to see it on both the radiator caps. So that's what made me think that it had a blown head gasket, but I did do a compression test and the compression came out good.
And a block test.
Yeah, and we did a block test too. But at the same time, this cylinder back here is kind of like ticking, and I believe that's just because of the
Valves.
The valves, yeah. So it probably just needs new. I forgot what they're called, but they're like little like sockets that go inside that the valves sit onto. So I picked these little fuel line removal things from AutoZone, and you basically want to get it in here, the back. It is a little hard, especially with these little like welded brackets. Don't know why they put those there. Literally put it in the wrong place. Not that they put it in the wrong place, but like they couldn't put it anywhere better. So it's sitting inside of there, and then once you do that, kind of put a rag down here. And then you just pull on it and it gets it out. But this is the size that I used. It comes with a couple sizes. These are all the sizes. I used this one. It's probably supposed to be that one, but since it's tight squeeze, I used this one. Worked a lot better than that one. done with, we're done for the night. We got everything off on top. We have the starter out. We have the sliding pin for the the clutch forks removed. We have,
yeah, it's right here. This thingy right here. So you basically touch that bolt onto there and just slide it out.
one thing that we found, like, to help remove it, which a lot of videos didn't really show, was kind of like you wiggle it side to side, and that'll kind of like help push it outwards. So that wasn't after I did that, it just like came out easily. But before that, we were kind of like prying on it against the transmission. It slid out like kind of effortlessly, but like when you did it with your hand, it's kind of hard. So here you can see the turbo. We have those bolts removed off from right there. There's one more down there. Down there's a nut, and on the other side is a nut, I believe, as well. And that should remove the turbo. Tomorrow, all we have left to do is disconnect the bolts from the transmission to the engine, well, belt housing, I guess you could call it. But we'll be doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, so catch you guys tomorrow.
Welcome back. It is the next day, even though it seems like it's the same time. It's just 24 hours has passed. Well, less than 24 hours. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the transmission bolts that go to the engine. We already have 2 bolts off from the starter. It should be 2 more bolts on the other side, and I believe 4 bolts on this side. We already have the turbo disconnected, so the turbo should come off from the exhaust. They did weld a socket to the bottom of the downpipe and the bolt, or the nut, whatever you want to call it, to the downpipe, so we can't really take that off. What we did is just disconnect the turbo, take out those bolts, and then loosen up, or not loosen, but take out the motor mounts, the bolts for the motor mounts, and then that'll be it. We broke both those bolts loose, and we still got to do this side. 1, 2. Can't really see the other 2. The exhaust is kind of in the way. Here's the bolts I was telling you. They welded that one up, and a socket. At least it wasn't their 10mm. We got basically everything off right now. We just need to do the motor mounts to pull out the engine. Yeah, we already got all the bolts out. Some of them were kind of hard to do, especially the last one. You know, always the last one is hard. We're ready to pull this engine out. We have it hooked up already, a little bit of tension on it. We just need to separate the engine and transmission from the back. And by the looks of it, we have everything disconnected. We'll be taking out kind of slowly, just to make sure we don't hit anything on the bottom, just because this is our first. And well, removing the engine from a Subaru, and we don't know if we're gonna hit anything on the bottom. Night off because we couldn't get these 2 to separate, no matter how hard we tried. When you look inside here, you can see 2 little dowel pins. One's right here on the engine side, and the other side is on the transmission side. We had to heat those up to get it loose, which that's what we saw online, and that's what we decided to try out. And that worked. You do have 2 little nuts on the bottom end Those are supposed to go to those threads. Those kind of guide the engine to go into the transmission a lot easier. We do have it separated. All we have to do is just pull it out and we should be done with this.
All this is clutch. Like all that. Yeah. On here you can see a big chunk. Right here. Yeah, there's a big chunk on this one, on the flywheel itself.
They look like dirt. You guys are driving like that? Wait, don't ever drive like this? You irresponsible bitches live like this? Yeah, it costs to live like this.
Look at all those hot spots.
I need to bring traction over here.
We have the intake manifold off, and right now what we're doing is we're trying to get to the head. We've already taken off the valve cover and already took out the valve caps on this side and already loosened up on this side as well. I need to just pry on these two tabs right here to pull this out, and then after that I'll be able to take both the cams off and get to the 6 bolts. We have the head removed, as you can see, it's right here. I have everything laid out, the sprockets, the bolts, kind of all how they're supposed to go. We do have to order some new head studs. Don't know if we're gonna go with ARP or just stock, we'll see about that. But the head is removed on this side. I did put some paper towels in for the oil side. This is the coolant. Doesn't really matter too much about the coolant, but the oil is a lubricating part, so that's pretty important. And we have this side to do, but it's already getting kind of late, so I'll probably do this tomorrow. That'll be the end of this video. We will be cleaning the top of the piston and hopefully have this thing running back again. We do have some body work left to do on this. We did break a belt. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. We do need to replace it because I did use it to hold the sprockets in place, but this one didn't want to come out. We did just jam a socket into there and then pulled it out because the 10mm Allen that was in here just stripped it out, and this thing was on there so tight that it even broke our belt twice on 2 different spots here, and then the second time it completely snapped it. So we need a new belt, new head studs, a new, what would you call this?
Cam bolt.
Cam bolt, yeah, for the sprocket. And that'll be the end of this video.